Hi everyone. In this short video I want to show you a new product from Bloomsbury Professional: tax claims, elections, letters and checklists. Hopefully this is a case of a product doing exactly what it says on the tin, but even so I'd like to take a moment to show you round so you can see exactly what it contains and how it works. I'd also like to take a minute or two as we go along to illustrate how nicely tax claims, elections, letters and checklists, or tax claims for short, is integrated with the other Bloomsbury Professional tax products. In this video I'll be showing tax claims running alongside our UK Tax Gold research library. But first, let's take a closer look at what's included in tax claims, elections, letters and checklists. Unlike other Bloomsbury Professional products you may be familiar with, Tax Claims is not a tax commentary product, but rather it's a collection of 300 ready-to-use documents grouped under the three main headings here: checklists, letters, pro formas and precedents, standard claims and elections. Let's dive straight in and take a closer look at the coverage and some of the documents included in the product, starting with the checklists included in Part 1. As you can see, to make it easy to find the document you want, the contents are grouped under broad headings: personal tax, business tax, capital taxes and so on, and those broad headings may be further subdivided into gains, IHT and trust, for example, or for incorporated and unincorporated businesses. Initially, however, I'm going to go into the personal tax section and then into income tax, and I'm going to choose this checklist here, income tax, income from property. Now then, this here is a cracker of a checklist for a property business. If you need a compact aid memoir for running through all the issues pertaining to running a property business, this is the perfect place to start. I mentioned a moment ago that the tax claims content is closely integrated with the other Bloomsbury Professional tax products, and this is a nice illustration of that. So here's a pretty fundamental point about it. Rent from properties outside the UK are taxed separately. Over here, these links are showing me what the revenue have to say about it in their manuals. So here's what they say about rent from property outside the UK. And the links here are taking us to the legislation. Here's the bit of ITOIA that tells us that property income from outside the UK is treated separately. In order to see what Bloomsbury have to say about it, you may notice that under every section in the legislation there's this link. Click here to view commentary on this provision. If I click that, you can see what we all have to say about section 265. If I only want to see what Bloomsbury have to say, I just want to click there, and so now I can see we've got Robert Mars, the doyen of UK tax writers, his treatment of 265. We've also got Mark McLaughlin as editor of the Buy-to-Let Property Tax Handbook. If anybody watching this video hasn't checked out the Buy-to-Let Property Tax Handbook, I'd urge them to do so now. And here's the checklist from the Tax Precedents product that we were just looking at. So that's a kind of preliminary illustration of what I mean when I say the documents included in the tax claims product are very tightly integrated with all the other content we've got in our Bloomsbury Professional tax products. I want to press on now and look at some of the other types of documents that are included in tax claims. Part 2 here, letters, pro formas and precedents, is divided up in a similar way to Part 1 to make it easier to browse to the document you need. I won't linger too long over all of these, so I'm just going to jump straight into the practice management section just to give you some idea of the breadth of the coverage included in this product. So here we've got the money laundering section, and we can see over here a list of the kind of form that's included. Let's take a look at the training record, for example. Nice ready-to-use form there. Under that we've got huge number of third-party and client letters. So here's ongoing letter of authority, for example, ready to use. And finally, under the practice management pro formas, etc. Another nice little list of documents here, and this one in particular caught my eye. The first interview sheet and new client procedures for corporate tax. Now, here's a hugely detailed form for capturing all the information you're going to need at that first meeting. The point of this product, as I said at the start of the video, is these are documents that you can use immediately in your practice. So how do you do that? Well, an immediate way of doing that is saying, okay, I want to use this document right now. I'm going to export it to Word by clicking that button up there, and the site will create a nice little Word document for you. And if I click that downloaded Word document, let's wait for Word to load up, we can see the document ready to use here. I can keep this stuff at the top if I like, or I can just remove that, and I'm left with just the form itself. That's ready for me to fill out, print off, use as I wish. Let's just hop back to the site. Okay, so moving on, the only section we haven't looked at yet is part 3, standard claims and elections. And no surprise, it's arranged in exactly the same way as the other parts. So we divided up to make it easier to find what you're looking for. I'm going to approach this in a slightly different way rather than just browse to it. I think a lot of people, myself included, are very happy searching for tax information. So let's say on this occasion I want to make a claim for farmers' averaging of profits. So I'm just going to search up here for farmers averaging. My apologies to the apostrophe police. If I fire that search off, I can see here I've got 106 documents in total that are discussing farmers averaging, including Julie Butler here on tax planning for farm and land diversification. But down here I can see from the tax claims, elections, letters and checklists product, I've got a precedent here, claim ready to go into the revenue to make the claim under section 222 for averaging. A little earlier on I showed how you could export one of these claims or letters to Word. You don't have to go that way. If it's a short document, you might as well just copy and paste it in and you'll get just as good a result. So if I highlight that, copy that, and then I've still got Word open, let's create a new document, paste in what I've got, and there's my my claim under 222 ready to be filled out and sent off to HMRC. So let's just head back to the site and take ourselves back to the home page. Okay, that's the end of this video. I hope you found it helpful. Thank you very much indeed for watching.